I went from being immobile to becoming a 7-figure entrepreneur athlete. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my complete story because along the way, I've made a health optimization system that makes being healthy easy. I was born with a condition called congenital clubfoot, and because of lack of resources in Bulgaria, I had botched operations that rendered me immobile for up to 5 years of my life. I couldn't walk properly without assistance or casts, and my future was undetermined. Because of this, I had to move to Canada and spend 18 years in active physiotherapy, around 2 hours every single week, making sure that I could re-strengthen and re-solidify the botched operations that I had when I was 2 years old. I faced a ton of limitations, from not being sure if I would walk when I was fully grown, all the way up to seeing disadvantages and physical differences between my 2 feet. So a lot of bullying, a lot of uncertainty, which really hurt my confidence and which really affected my mental ability to grow and to fit in. And that's the reason why I picked up natural bodybuilding and Ironman triathlon, because I had limitations set on me that were not within my control. And entrepreneurship and Ironman and bodybuilding are both very difficult things. And I didn't want to let any of my limitations or any of my problems with my foot define who or what I would become. Growing up with the condition was really tough, and we actually had to leave Bulgaria because of it, as my parents were convinced that I would be made fun of and excluded by all of my peer groups because of the culture there. So physically, there was a lot of differences. My right leg is significantly smaller than my left leg, and that's just never going to change because the tendons were cut up. So visually, it is a big difference, but in terms of power, I actually just biked up one of these mountains back here the other day. It's only around a 3% power difference between my right leg and left leg on a road bike. And I started to break free from those limitations shortly after I was discharged from physiotherapy. At the age of around 14, I took it into my own hands, and hitting puberty was no easy feat as well, dealing with the self-insecurity issues with the foot. After I was discharged from mandatory physiotherapy at 14, I still had to do physiotherapy for 2 hours every single week at home. And I'd say at the age of around 18, I took on weight training, and I put on around 80 pounds of lean mass, coming from 150 pounds, which really helped my self-confidence for the first time. And that was my first initial breakthrough moment with building up my self-confidence, was the gym and putting on lean muscle mass. And after I started training, I was also working as a lifeguard at the time, and I realized that just like in the gym, I had to get my finances in order as well. But this process wasn't a year or 2 years. This was around a 3-year process where I was working as a lifeguard at a pool while also picking up more and more difficult physical endeavors, like cycling 320 kilometers in a day, half Ironman training, running 30 kilometers, swimming long distances. And that's really what led me into the shift of health optimization, or more specifically, health automation. Because as I built up social proof with myself and my accolades in terms of natural bodybuilding, Ironman triathlon, and other events, I had backed up my story of my leg that was visually still there, that was very strongly represented amongst my peers, and I had still built up the credibility that no matter what limitations you come from, you can still perform relatively well at a high level, even at a high weight and at a high stature. And the first biggest taste of that coming together was when I did my first Ironman event. I completed the entire event at 5 minutes and 4 seconds, coming 12th in my age group with less than a year of training. Obviously, I had done some competitive biking up until that point, but nothing serious, and I had set the goal for myself to place top 10 in my age group, and I was just a little bit off. So that was the first biggest win from all of my fitness accolades coming into motion. The first biggest win that we saw in business was when we hit our first 50K month a year ago. We were traveling all over the world, and we were seeing the benefits and the fruits of our labor come into fruition. But shortly after we hit that 40K month, we hit a decline because, like any business hitting a new high, you have to stabilize and understand what it means to perform at that level instead of just hitting it once and then dropping back down. Because I had neglected my health, my athletic ability, and I had solely focused on business, I was constantly burning out, and I wasn't in a state of abundance or clarity. And that's when I realized I needed some more solidity. I had to stop traveling, I had to stop sacrificing my health for my work, and I combined them both, and I took on my biggest feat yet. Back in October 2024, I signed up for my first marathon event, the BMO Vancouver Marathon. My goal for the event was a sub 4-hour marathon for my first marathon, with anything around the 3:30 range I'd be really happy with. Now this was at the same time as we were juggling business, and luckily we hit record high new months, while also I was able to get a 3:58 marathon during the BMO. The course was a little long, so officially it was 401, but it was right around that mark that I was aiming for. And now on a day-to-day basis, I simply do some cycling training, biking up the local mountains here, hitting a volume of around 150 to 200 kilometers a week while maintaining my focus in my business. I'm the leanest, heaviest, and strongest on the bike that I've ever been, and I feel absolutely amazing because I've shuffled my energy and my focus not just into business, but distributed it evenly amongst my biggest source of output, which is myself. After the marathon, I had a ton of problems with my liver and with my digestion, and I did some testing and I realized that I had to do a heavy detox to fix the problems in my liver and my colon. After I did those two, I had some digestive problems as well due to the severe metabolic stress of training in high heat conditions as well as the marathon. And then I did some more healing there. And afterwards, finally now, I'm at the point where my internal systems are aligned with my external reality in terms of my business and my health, both being at somewhat of their pinnacles in my existence. The specific system that I use to sustain this sort of lifestyle is not managed alone. There's no way I could do any of this alone because, simply put, it's beyond my scope and the time that I have to give to sustain this high level of health. So the first thing that I did was I boiled down the constraints of my output system. So what does Ioan do on a day-to-day basis to generate results for Ioan? Simply put, what are my constraints as a business owner and as a creator on this earth? Well, they're really simple. I have to eat something every day, so I have to fuel myself. I have to perform both mentally and physically to keep my body and mind in check. And I need to recover from that day's activities, as well as in general. We all have to sleep every day and we need time to de-stress. After I boiled down those three systems, I realized that they all require a lot of time. There's a lot of time that goes into cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, meal planning, as well as training plan structuring, going to the gym, sauna, steam room, etc. So I delegated as much of my time with this system as I could, and I put all the other pieces into motion using science. Using the science that is backed by my body, not just what influencers are saying, or not just random things. I did science on my body, and I put it into work with my team, and then that way I didn't have to spend any time being healthy anymore. The only things that involve my direct input with my health are my leisure activities. So biking, eating food, going to the sauna. My minimum required dose of effectiveness is maximized because I have a team and data that backs all of the decisions that I have to put. That way, I don't have to shift my time and have it fully abundant in order to be healthy all the time. I'm smarter about it. And this is exactly what OptiMobility does for all of our clients. We implement the exact same system, the time-saving piece, so we hire a housekeeper chef and somebody to automate and alleviate the load of all the grunt work that we shouldn't be doing in our homes because we're seven-figure founders. My time is not worth cooking or cleaning. We do all the testing to uncover what the inflammation and bottlenecks are behind our recovery, fuel, and performance systems, and then we put it into work with high-performance coaching, as well as some of the top talents of coaches in the world, all backed by a doctor and a geneticist overseeing the entire process. This is the biggest myth behind high performance. It's not about being dialed, it's about finding and orchestrating a flow and a cycle of things that still enable us to be a creator without requiring our direct necessary input. We don't have to build a car every time we want to go on a drive. We just need access to a great car that we can use for a multitude of events. And health right now is just like that. You have to literally build your own car. You have to maintain your car's oil level, the cabin filter, the tires. You're in charge of all of that. And if you're not doing it, then you're running the risk of ending up on the side of the road and not being able to get to your rendezvous point. If that's a client dinner, if that's family time, it's just the vehicle that we use to get healthy doesn't work. And reality has proven that with our significantly high obesity rates, with the lack of performance that we're seeing all over the world. So if you're stuck in a low energy or unhealthy state, just note that there is a solution out there for you. Check out our stuff, and that will give you the insights that you're looking for to get those paradigm shifts into motion so that you're not constantly fighting for your health. It needs to work for you. The first health change you should make today is realize that it's about systemized approach. It's not about you doing all the work. So if you're a 7+ figure founder, check out our company down below.